The Love Quilt Project is all about building relationships between caring Americans and children in South Africa. American school children create messages of love to brighten lives and help heal souls of those touched by the HIV/AIDS pandemic. These beautiful art squares are stitched together by volunteer quilters into quilts that are distributed to South African children living within the hardest hit communities. The project teaches kindness, tolerance, and compassion. This video sheds some light on what the Love Quilt Project is really about. We hope you enjoy it and that you also share the message with your friends. Kindly donate to help enrich lives through educational opportunities. All participants and donors of this project have come to learn that the healing power of love can change the world.
We're introducing you to the Love Quilt Project, which is a project that started in the United States, and it originally reached out to many vulnerable and orphan children in South Africa, mostly affected by the HIV/AIDS pandemic. And we really saw a need there to work with children. And so we developed this project, and we now actually have reciprocity with the project, which we can explain in a minute, back to the United States too. I'm Gretchen Ginnerty. I'm the founder and visionary of the project. We started in 2011, and I'm now the president of our board. And
I'm Bill Montgomery. I'm the vice president and with the project for several years now as well.
And then we have a board of 5 people. We have Jennifer Thorpe as our secretary, we have Sue Bentley as board member, and then at St. Peter's Episcopal Church in Arlington, Virginia, we have the rector of the church, Reverend Craig Phillips, as a board member as well. So how did it all start? And so I'll have Bill tell you a little bit about that.
The project started as an outgrowth of a mission of St. Peter's Episcopal Church in Arlington, Virginia. In 2011, we partnered with a church in South Africa to help build now 2 orphan homes for children orphaned or affected by HIV/AIDS there. As part of our first trip over there to help put the finishing touches on the initial home, we decided to take gifts for the children in the home. And Gretchen and Anna Fernau, who led the mission trip, came up with the idea of giving quilts. And Gretchen had designed quilts before, and we came up with the concept of a log cabin quilt, which is a particular type of American quilt with an image of a block with a light side and a dark side, and a message in the middle, kind of the heart of the home. And we had children in the Sunday school create little messages of love, of hope, to children there on little fabric art squares. And these were stitched into the quilt by quilters here at St. Peter's. When we presented the initial 6 quilts and 1 for the house mother, the reception was overwhelming. People were really just bowled over by the message of warmth and love and wrapping children in these quilts. And they asked us if we could continue this mission, this project. And we thought about it, and it became what is now the Love Quilt Project, an independent 501c3 that aims to give quilts to children throughout South Africa and now back here in the U.S. as well.
So we've worked with, to date now, we started in 2011, we've now worked with over 5,000 children across the country in America, teaching them about the beautiful country of South Africa and the children who are there. But part of this lesson that we teach them is about love and compassion and kindness and how the healing powers of love can change the world. And one of the things that we really get into is technology and using technology in a much more positive way. And we talk to them about, how do you interact? Who Facebooks? And they yell out names, Skype and Instagram and all of these ways that we very quickly can be in contact with each other. And we talk about the video games and how video games, they create teams that they have children from around the world that come together and they play these games together. And we point out to them that, the world has become this just much more accessible place. And we ask them, are you having fun with the game? Yes. Does it matter who you're playing this game with? Does it matter where they come from? Does it matter what they believe in? Does it matter what their economic level is? Does it matter what their religious beliefs might be? Does it matter what the color of their skin might be. And they kind of look at you perplexed and say, no, we're just enjoying this game. And so we point out to them that we are actually growing up in a generation that's never existed before, that our children are growing up in a time where all of these peripheral things no longer matter. And what the Love Quilt Project tries to do is to point out that when you learn that these peripheral things really don't matter, and that what we all actually deserve in life is love, and that we all share this human emotion, and especially when those that are suffering, when we reach out and we lift them up and we show them love and compassion and support, that they're the generation that can change the world. They're the generation we truly believe could create world peace. So at the end of that lesson, the children are asked to look deeply into their hearts and express a message of love. And we call this the art square fabric, or the love square. And they create these messages either in written form, or they can be a picture or something that speaks to them. Does it make them happy, or something that's going to make somebody feel good? And they express this into art. And then those art squares are sent back to us, and we send them out to quilters. And the quilters, again, use the fabrics as paintbrushes to express their support and love for these children. And they stitch the messages into the quilts. And the quilts come back, as you can see here, many of them here. They come back to us, and then we bring them over to South Africa, and we contact children that are either in foster homes or in orphan care, and we ask them to come in. We typically feed them a meal, but before the children receive their quilts, we give them the same lesson about how the world's a smaller place, about how love is so important, and we ask them to look into their hearts and create messages of love back to the United States, because we have children here who are also affected by HIV/AIDS. Either they have it themselves, or they're suffering with families that have this. So it really becomes this reciprocity with our two countries. We like to use the term stitching the countries together for the commonality or the common good of our children. So one of the things that we do is we not only deliver quilts in the northern part of South Africa, but we do go down to the Western Cape, where there's many foster homes. And in these foster homes, there's typically only 6 children in each home. Each child gets a quilt, but we also make a quilt for the mom. And when we physically wrap these children and mothers in these quilts, the emotions and their feelings of not only the warmth, but being wrapped in love can be really overwhelming. So one of the things that we did was we created these quilts called the log cabin pattern, as Bill was explaining earlier. The reason for the log cabin pattern is there's a story behind the quilt. And the quilt is really about the circle of life. And if you look at each one of these blocks, you'll see always in the squares that there's a light side to the fabric and there's a dark side to the fabric. And they create a circle. And the dark side of the fabric are the harder, darker days of life. And the lighter side of the fabric is the lighter, happier days of life. And what pulls us all together is that symbol of love. And every message that you see in these quilts can be different, just depending on what's in the child's heart.
Gretchen sent over 5,000 children across the country in scout troops, schools, churches, any kind of organization, or just families that want to participate. And we've have reached quilters in over a dozen states across the country as well to actually volunteer to create the quilts with these art squares. We certainly welcome your participation. You can reach us online at www.lovequiltproject.org. In addition to giving the quilts, we also are trying to make a donation to help the education of those children affected in South Africa who receive the quilts. A monetary donation as well, and contributions are welcome to support that as well. So please, if you can help us out, we would certainly appreciate your participation.
I think what you can see is that this is a project that grew out of love and compassion. It's something that really started small, and we realized that maybe we could reach out and touch the lives of those children that really need a bigger message about believing in them, supporting them, having compassion and kindness, teaching our own children how important that is as we move on into life. And we hope that not only reaching out to South Africa, that the children continue to enjoy these wonderful gifts and message, but also the gifts that South Africa is giving back to the children here in the United States is equally as important.
If you'd like to help us, either through art squares or quilting or just a donation or any other interest at all, please contact us. We look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you.